All right, give yourself a pat on the back. We've just completed converting all of our font icons into our template. And so now what we're going to do is start tackling our forms. We have one down here for our contact form. And then at the very top of the page, we have a search form. Now let's go ahead and tackle this Contact Us form first. And we'll do so in pieces. Let's start at the bottom and work our way up. So we'll begin with the Submit button here. I'm going to make sure I'm on the flattened version of the site. I'll select the rectangular marquee and copy just this button. I'll create a new document, paste it in, save it for the web, and we'll call this Contact Form Submit. Now, if you don't have Photoshop, you can just jump to the resource pack directory and copy the 34th step, which is contactformsubmit.png, and you're going to put it in your design screenshots folder in the base directory of your project. All right, I'm going to go back to our editor and I'll replace out our image at the top with contact form submit. And now let's talk about what the HTML is going to be for our form. We can do a quick search in Google for HTML forms or HTML form, and we'll pull up the W3 Schools page. So this describes the basic structure of a form. You have a starting form tag and an ending form tag with the form elements inside. Within the form, you can have HTML, as well as a variety of kinds of inputs. So let's try this here. You can see that this form renders over here as two inputs. So input type equals text, name equals first name. Now there's multiple types of inputs, so we use the type attribute in order to determine what the type this is going to be. It could also be a checkbox or a radio button, for example. And then the name is just the unique identifier of this input. And when the form is submitted, the data that's inside of this input is connected with this label here. So it doesn't add any text to it. What we would do instead is add text like so in order to give more details in the form about how to fill it out or what each of the inputs are for. I'll exit this and let's scroll down. And this shows us some additional input types. So this is input type equals radio. So the way this renders is as a circle with a dot. But then if we check another circle, any other circles that are connected with the set of radio inputs will deselect. So the idea is that you can select only one of the options. The way that this is done in the input is to give multiple radio inputs the same name. When the form is submitted, the value that it's going to pull isn't this text to the side. That's actually just a label. It will instead pull from the value attribute of the input. So right now, female is checked, and when this form gets submitted, the value of this all lowercase female will be passed as the value. Let's keep scrolling down. So here we have the submit button, and here's the example. So we have two text inputs here, and then at the bottom of the form, we have the submit button. It's an input type equals submit, and then the value here is what will end up showing in the submit button itself. So this is the first input that we're going to style. You can add multiple submit inputs inside of a form, and the input can be anywhere. So this submit button could be at the very top, and the form would still work. Let's scroll down a little bit more. So when a form is submitted, it gets submitted to someplace, carrying the data that was input into it. The way we can specify where that form goes when it's submitted is with the action attribute in the form tag. So in this example, if the form gets submitted, that data will get sent to actionpage.php. From there, we would need to use some kind of server-side code in order to process the contents of the form. So that processing part isn't something that we're going to tackle here because it's not really a front-end developer problem. The second most common attribute that you'll see in the form element is the method attribute. So there's several options, but the two most common ones are get and post. The difference, if we take a look here, is that if we submit a form with the get method, then all of the values of the form will get appended to the page URL. So it becomes visible in the browser. That also means that it gets saved in the history of the browser too. For the most part, this isn't what we end up wanting due to security. We don't want someone submitting a form and then having all that information saved in their browser, as well as exposed in the URL. On the other hand, if you use post, those values will be hidden and only accessible on the server from the server-side code. So by default, we're going to use post. Now there's a little bit more information on forms here, but this is enough for us to get started.